High above the border of North Carolina and Tennessee, there is a mountain where the forest suddenly disappeared. A wide grassy summit rising above the Blue Ridge, open sky, rolling wind, endless ridges fading into blue distance. Today, hikers gather there to watch sunsets and cross the Appalachian Trail. But long before modern visitors climbed that mountain, the Cherokee believed certain high peaks were places where the spirit world felt closer. And according to the old traditions surrounding the mountains near Mac's Patch, powerful unseen beings moved silently across these ridges. This is Echoes of the Blue Ridge. I'm North Carolina Realtor Ryan Phillips. The Southern Appalachians are filled with mountain balds, open grassy summits standing above dense forests, places like Big Bald, Roan Mountain, and Mac's Patch. For centuries, travelers used these peaks as landmarks while crossing the rugged Blue Ridge. But in Cherokee tradition, certain mountaintops carried something more. They were sacred landscapes, places where the boundary between worlds felt thinner. Even today, no one fully agrees why the Appalachian Balds exist, why certain mountain summits remain open and grassy while forests surround them on every side. Scientists debate climate, grazing, fire, and natural ecology. But long before modern explanations existed, the Balds already carried mystery. To ancient travelers moving through the Appalachians, these open summits would have felt extraordinary, especially after climbing through miles of dark forest. Suddenly emerging into open sky above the clouds, the Cherokee viewed these mountains as living places, not empty wilderness, but landscapes filled with memory, spirit, power, and presence. Certain mountain peaks were believed to hold spiritual significance. Medicine people sometimes traveled to high mountains seeking visions, guidance, or ceremony. And according to traditions tied to the mountains surrounding Mac's Patch, travelers approaching the Bald were expected to show respect to the land itself, because powerful spirits were believed to move across the ridges there. Mac's Patch sits along one of the great natural corridors through the Blue Ridge Mountains. For thousands of years, trails crossed these ridges connecting the French Broad River Basin, eastern Tennessee, and the deeper Appalachian interior. Long before roads existed, Cherokee hunters, traders, and travelers moved through these mountains. And later, settlers followed many of those same ancient routes westward. The Appalachian Trail itself now crosses near pathways humans have likely traveled for centuries. The mountain shaped the movement of people long before modern maps existed. Anyone who has stood atop Mac's Patch knows the feeling. The wind rarely stops, cloud shadows move endlessly across the ridges, and the world below begins to feel very distant. There is something ancient about these high balds, something difficult to explain. Perhaps that is why so many mountain traditions became attached to them, because places like Mac's Patch naturally inspire awe, and awe often becomes story. Cherokee traditions did not always separate the physical world from the spiritual one. Mountains, rivers, storms, forests all existed within a living spiritual order. And certain places carried stronger presence than others. The old stories surrounding Mac's Patch suggest the Bald was one of those places. A location where travelers moved carefully, where respect mattered, and where unseen forces were believed to move across the mountains beside the living. Not necessarily evil, but powerful, ancient, and deserving reverence. Modern listeners often ask whether stories like these were literal, but indigenous traditions frequently operated on multiple levels at once: spiritual, symbolic, practical, and geographical. High mountain balds served as landmarks, travel routes, ceremonial spaces, and places of reflection. The legends surrounding them preserved relationships between people and the land. And perhaps that is why these stories endure, because the mountains still create the same feeling today that they did centuries ago. Humility, wonder, and the sense that the Blue Ridge is older than human memory itself. Stand on Max Patch long enough and the world becomes very quiet. Wind through the grass, clouds drifting below the ridges, blue mountains stretching endlessly toward the horizon. For thousands of years, people have crossed these heights. Cherokee hunters, medicine people, settlers, drovers, soldiers, and modern travelers. The mountains watched all of them pass, and somewhere within the old Appalachian winds, their echoes still remain. The highest ridges of the Blue Ridge Mountains were never empty wilderness. Long before modern counties and roads existed, these mountains formed ancient corridors connecting valleys, hunting grounds, sacred peaks, and distant Appalachian communities. Places like Mount Mitchell, Roan Mountain, Grandfather Mountain, and the Toe River Valley carry travelers through some of the wildest terrain in the eastern United States. Next time on Echoes of the Blue Ridge, we explore the ancient high mountain corridors of Yancey, Mitchell, and Avery counties, where Cherokee hunters crossed the ridges, medicine people climbed sacred peaks, and the mountains themselves became part of the living spiritual geography. Until then, listen carefully. The echoes are still here.